They lied to you. Familiarity doesn't breed contempt. It breeds compliance. And ultimately, it breeds profit. Think about it. That clunky, expensive software subscription you secretly hate, but keep renewing every year? You don't stay because it's the best. You stay because it's familiar. That hyped-up tech stock you invested in, despite the terrible fundamentals? You bought it because the ticker symbol was constantly in your newsfeed. That colleague you see in the hallway every day? You'd probably promote them over a vastly more qualified stranger, simply because their face feels safe. This isn't coincidence. This is one of the most powerful, exploited forces in behavioral psychology. And it is quietly controlling your financial decisions, your career trajectory, and your daily habits right now, whether you realize it or not. It's called the mere exposure effect. And by the end of this video, you will never look at a software interface, a financial market, or a hiring decision the same way again. Did I end the next 12 minutes? I'm going to show you the 1968 experiment that proved your brain prefers nonsense data just because it has seen it before. I will show you why subliminal exposure, information you don't even consciously notice, works better than obvious repetition. How this single psychological glitch drives billion-dollar valuations, manipulates markets, and sells you products you don't need. And most importantly, I will show you how to audit your own mind so you can spot when this effect is being weaponized against you. Stick around. The most disturbing part comes at the end. In 1968, a Polish-American psychologist named Robert Zajonc published a paper that quietly rewrote everything we thought we knew about human preference. Zajonc had a radical hypothesis. You don't need to understand something, experience something positive with it, or even consciously notice it to start liking it. All you need is repeated exposure. And here's what he did. He showed participants nonsense words, completely made up, meaningless syllables in a foreign language. Some words were shown once, others 5 times, others 10, 15, even 25 times. Then he asked a simple question. How much do you like this word? The results were staggering. Words shown 25 times were rated dramatically more positive than words shown just once. Words never shown? Rated the worst. Think about that. These words had no meaning, no context, no logical value, just repetition. And repetition alone made people prefer them. But Zajonc didn't stop at words. He showed people photographs of strangers. The more times they saw a particular face, the more they rated that person as competent, trustworthy, and likable, even though it was just a random, unremarkable graduation photo. This wasn't about logic. This was about biological wiring. Why does this happen? Why would evolution program us to favor things just because we've seen them before? 2 words, uncertainty reduction. From an evolutionary standpoint, the unknown was a liability. That rustling in the bushes could be a predator. That unfamiliar tribe member could be hostile. But the thing you've seen 50 times and nothing bad has happened? That's safe. That's comfortable. That's good. But there's a second mechanism that is even more fascinating and far more exploitable: perceptual fluency. Every time your brain processes a stimulus, a logo, a financial chart, a melody, it gets slightly better at it. The neural pathway becomes smoother, faster, more efficient. And here's the kicker. Your brain interprets that ease of processing as pleasure. When something feels easy to recognize, it feels good. Not because it is good, but because your brain is biologically lazy, and laziness feels like comfort. But here's where it gets really weird. In 1992, psychologists Bornstein and D'Agostino conducted experiments that should have changed how we think about marketing and influence forever. They showed people images for just 5 milliseconds. So fast that participants couldn't consciously recognize what they saw. Then, they showed other images for 500 milliseconds. Long enough to clearly see. And remember, do you think the clearly visible images would create stronger liking? Right? Wrong. The 5 millisecond subliminal images produced a massively stronger mere exposure effect than the clearly visible ones. We're talking effect sizes that weren't even close. Let me say that again. Information you cannot consciously recognize makes you like things more than information you can recognize. Why? Because when you're aware of the repetition, your brain does something called correction. You think, I'm only liking this brand because I've seen their ads a bunch of times. But when you're not aware, there is no correction. The fluency hits, and your brain just assumes, this must be valuable. This must be safe. This is why product placement works. This is why corporate jingles get stuck in your head before you even realize you've heard them. This is why the most effective advertising is the advertising you don't even notice. Now let's talk about how this plays out in your actual, high-stakes life. First, tech and software. Why do you keep paying for that clunky, expensive project management tool your team secretly hates? Not because it has the best features, but because your brain has seen its interface every day for 3 years. Switching to a better, cheaper alternative requires cognitive effort. Familiarity breeds loyalty, even to bad products. The tech industry banks on this. It's called vendor lock-in, and it is built entirely on the mere exposure effect. Second, finance and investing. Why do retail investors pour money into hyped-up, familiar tech stocks or trending cryptocurrencies instead of boring, diversified index funds? Because the ticker symbol is familiar. The news anchors talk about it. The algorithm feeds it to you. In finance, familiarity is dangerously mistaken for safety, and that mistake costs people their life savings. Third, career and networking. Why do hiring managers often promote the candidate they've seen in the hallway every day over the objectively more qualified stranger? Because the familiar face triggers a subconscious sense of trust. Competence is hard to measure. Familiarity is easy to process. And in the corporate world, the easy choice often wins. And here is the part nobody talks about. The mere exposure effect has a dark twin. Repetition doesn't just make things likable. It makes them feel true. This is called the illusory truth effect, and it works hand in hand with mere exposure. The more you hear a claim, the more familiar it feels. The more familiar it feels, the more true it feels. Not because of evidence, because of repetition. Algorithms exploit this ruthlessly. You see the same financial guru, the same political talking point, or the same get-rich-quick scheme 50 times. Your brain doesn't evaluate the logic 50 times. It simply recognizes the pattern, and recognition feels like validation. Before you know it, you're not just familiar with an idea. You're financially and emotionally invested in it. The same mechanism that makes you tolerate bad software can make you believe dangerous misinformation. The same effect that sells you a subscription can sell you a toxic ideology. Familiarity doesn't just breed liking. Familiarity breeds your reality. And your reality is someone else's revenue model.so. How do you fight back against a force that is literally hardwired into your biology? First, name it. This is called cognitive auditing. When you catch yourself suddenly trusting a brand, a stock, or a person, ask yourself, is this objectively the best choice, or have I just been exposed to it more? Second, seek strategic disfluency. Deliberately expose yourself to unfamiliar perspectives, new software, and contrarian financial ideas. The slight discomfort you feel isn't a signal that something is wrong. It's a signal that your brain is actually working, instead of coasting on the autopilot of familiarity. Third, audit your environment. What are you being exposed to repeatedly without choosing it? The ads on your feeds, the podcasts you passively listen to, the default settings on your apps? Awareness breaks the spell. Fourth, embrace the first exposure judgment. Your gut reaction before repetition kicks in is often more honest and more accurate than your 20th exposure opinion as, the next time you catch yourself renewing a subscription you don't use. The next time a hyped-up investment suddenly seems too good to miss. The next time you reach for a brand you've never tried but somehow trust. Remember, familiarity didn't breed contempt. It bred you. The question isn't whether the mere exposure effect is controlling your decisions. The question is, what are you going to do about it? If this made you see the world differently, hit subscribe. We break down the hidden psychology that controls your money, your career, and your choices. Because the most dangerous thing you can be on this platform is familiar with the truth.